This episode of Todd-versations is brought to you by Envy, the ultimate Apple experience. Learn more about Envy at envyapple.com.
Hey everybody, we're started, by the way. Mimo's already rolling. We're not putting this in the show because this is a good conversation on the front side. Welcome everybody. We're glad you're here. Mimo's here. We got the original MFer here right now. I just want to throw him a little gang your way, Mimos, because I just think it's awesome. He's here hanging out with us, VP of Merchandising from Longo Brothers Fruit Market. If you know who he is, you know. If you don't know who he is, you're going to enjoy the conversation. This cat is a cool dude. I love what he's doing. I love his stores. Got a great attitude, as you've already just heard as we opened up. Dude, welcome. I'm glad you're hanging out with me today.
Yeah, thanks, Todd, and thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So where do you want to start today? I mean, we kind of started about being this. Do you want to jump right into the Maple Leafs and how shitty they are and you're out of the Stanley Cup playoffs? Do you want to get that out of the way? You want me just to let that go? You tell me.
No, I'll give you 20 seconds. Go.
No, I think I'm done. I'm pretty much, I think I summed it up already in the first 8. But, Longo's is up in Toronto, which is, if anybody's had the opportunity to be in that great city and to spend time there, it's an amazing place. It is a melting pot of the world. It is one of the most culturally rich cities, in my opinion, that I've ever traveled to. It's a super cool place. And I got to throw a little more love before we get going. Check out my water glass today, baby. Look what I got. We're drinking our water out of the official steam whistle beer stein that I stole.
Did you do a tour there?
Several times, yeah. It's a fun place. It's great beer. It's a fun place. And
that's a great spot.
Yeah. No, it's a fantastic place. It's super cool. Dude, like I said, I'm really glad that you're here. I'm looking forward to talking about what's going on in your stores. I'm looking forward to talking about what's going on in Toronto, because while the US and Canada are very similar in a lot of ways, they are different in a lot of ways as well. And I think retail is something that's, kind of unites everybody, but you're also going through some similar things that we're dealing with, some other things we're not dealing with, whatever. So I'm looking forward to talking about that. Before we get going, just tell everybody a little bit about your background, who you are real fast, because I don't read bios. It's too many big words and I'll screw it up.
Yeah, for sure. Again.
Oh, you knew that. Yeah. Thanks for agreeing on that point with
me. Again, thanks for having me. Mimmo Franzone. My current role is VP of Merchandising. I oversee produce, floral, grocery, dairy, and frozen for the organization. I've been with Longo's coming up on 20 years.
Wow.
September will be my 20-year work anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a great ride. I spent about a year and a half in the store. Started as a produce clerk, moved my way to assistant produce manager, and then produce manager. That was about a year and a half or so. Came to our head office from there, and I was just helping out Joey and Mike Longo. They were doing all the buying for the produce at that time.
Yeah.
We had at that time we had 14 stores. We're now at 38, and we got about 6 in the books. So over the next couple of years, we'll have another 6. So continue to grow, which is fantastic. From that, I guess that role was produce coordinator. From there, I became a category manager. I was doing most of the fruit. And then from there, director of produce, so overseeing the entire buying team, which was fun. There's nothing like our industry, fast moving. And the good thing was I was the first non-family member to take on that role. And
wow.
I'm grateful for that, and I learned a ton from the family. They're great mentors. They've been in business for 70 years as an independent retailer, so it's like to be this size and to it be a family business. It's what I took from them was still things that I'm doing today, right? So it's great to be a part of that.
Yeah, I agree with that, dude. I was in family businesses the entire time, and it's challenging in some moments, and it's also incredibly impactful in others. And you get to see things, the luxury of seeing things from both lenses, where you're dealing with corporate side of your life, but you have that family side, and that balance and understanding those two, I think it's really pivotal for my journey. I think it's probably pivotal for yours to have that perspective.
Yeah, definitely. And even just with our size, we're small, we can be nimble, but we're also we can sell some produce. So, over the time you built some great relationships, and it's not about the transactions of business. It's about how do you build these relationships and how you continue to grow and be better and make your partners better and make your team better, right? Really, that's that's my goal every day when I come into the office.
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
Well, Rick, we talked about, we started, you leave with love and kindness. The day just keeps getting better.
yeah, no, right. You're 100% right.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about, I want to get into Longo's a little bit, because, you brought up, they've been around since 1956. If my math is right. Immigrant brothers from Sicily come in, open up a neighborhood market. And it really, truly, a success story. Talk about, the whole immigration, the immigrant thing, and coming in and finding this new life and building an amazing business. It's really, really cool. And I love, one of the things that I found when I was doing my research is that there's a motto that you all have had, and they've had it for a long time, which is, we will only serve others what we will confidently serve our own families. I think that's just so great. That sums up to me, I think, some of the love and care that family businesses bring to the table, no matter what industry they're in. But I think that's such a special moment, that it's all about family and serving family from the lens of our family. So, to me, I just think it's powerful. What's that mean to you? How's that make?
Yeah. So like internally, what we say, treating you like family, right? So we're treating our teams like family. We're treating our guests like family. We're treating our vendor partners like family. And really, it's like the visionary Tommy Longo, he always said, you know what, always do the right thing, even when no one's looking. So, you know what, we had spoken earlier, it's all about being open, being, the trustworthiness part of any relationship, right? And if we do that every day, we're just going to be better, and we're just going to get further in life. Yeah. So, today we have 38 stores. We're continuing to grow. About a year and a half ago, we partnered up with the Empire Group.
Right.
So that's been great for us. They're great.
And that's parent company is Sobeys, so folks have a concept of what that is.
Yeah. And they're great. They're great partners. We're still doing our thing, which is fantastic. Like we have, we haven't changed our business, which is great. And we really haven't changed our business over 60 plus years, right?
Why would you? It works.
The vision is always the same. As an organization, our stores are really fresh focused. It's a complete shop, but fresh focus. On the produce side, always trying to buy the biggest, the freshest, the newest growing regions. Like that's our goal, right? We're not hunting out deals from a growing region that's passe and trying to bank on profit, right? We need to offer our guests the best experience ever, and that's really the philosophy across all departments, across the store. Local meats, all local meats, in store. Big presence in in-store HMR, fresh. Yeah. Everything's freshly cooked. Fresh focus and servicing our guests and, treating everyone like family. Really, again, it goes back to that. Putting on the table, or offering what your guests will put on the table, what you would put on your table. So, I
think it's so important.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say the growth is great. We're trying different concepts in our store. So as we grow, we're nimble enough where we could test different, different things. We have a few R&D stores where we're testing out stuff, and it's like when it's ready, we roll it out. It's super exciting, and keep at it.
I love it. Well, you said something I want to come back around on, and you talked about that, even though Empire is a part of your world now, they've left you guys alone. And you look at that, you hear that, and it's like, that's great. But the reason they are is because you've got a great product, right? It's not a distressed company. They got to come in, throw some capital in, flip it around, do what they have to do, put a bunch of Band-Aids on stuff. You guys have got a proven model. You've got a proven track record. You got proven growth. You've got an experience, that's tough to match in your marketplace, to be honest. Sorry, everybody else, but it is what it is. And your selection, like you said, carrying Greenleaf is one thing, but when we talk about the cultural diversity of your city, which I want to get into now, it is a melting pot of cultures and food traditions, which puts a level of retail, I think, expectation on you that you got to be cognizant of, right? You can't ignore, you know what I mean? You can't ignore who's around you. So how do you manage, and deal with that and appeal to like this diverse customer base that Toronto is?
Yeah, and again, it's so diverse that it's tough, but it's super exciting at the same time, right? Like
it's got to be fresh, right? It's got to be always changing.
Yeah, like, we have, Eastern European markets where we're changing our assortment based on that. We have a few Italian stores where we're selling, they sell 80% of the broccoli raw for the whole organization, right? And we need to manage our business that way. And South Asian and Asian markets, we're probably not gonna get first generations in, but second, third generations, we still need that, South Asian offering. And how do we bring that all together with for lack of a better word, like mainstream produce, right?
Right.
And yeah, we have great partners that help us with that, because we'll have a partner that that is supplying your local South Asian grocery stores, and it's like, what, we can't do that stuff ourselves. We're not the experts, right? So it's like, let's build great relationships, go to the experts, and understand what the needs are for that demographic, and execute. For us, it's all about execution, right? Because you can build all these plans, but if you can't execute, it just goes to the wayside. And our teams they execute great. Without our front lines, we got nothing. So
Yeah, there's no two ways about it. But again, I think it's just so unique because with all the stuff that goes on in the city, every week, every month, every whatever, it's just something new. It's a new holiday here, it's a new celebration here, it's a new that. That's a big calendar you guys work with. And to your point, it's great to have those grandiose ideas and to serve that. But if you can't execute against it, so it's like, oh, great, it's a great idea, but execution's everything. So it's got to change you a little bit. I mean, it has to. You guys have, I would imagine, have built a pretty nimble ship, being able to pivot quick with that, because you guys are constantly doing stuff, I would imagine.
Yeah. And if it comes to like community assortment, whether it's community assortment or whether it's getting a deal from our partners,
right?
You know what? If we're not nimble, we can't take advantage of this, because for us, it's like, we want to be the freshest. We're probably never going to be the cheapest, but where we can add value is being nimble and taking opportunity buys where we can show our guests there's value in our box as well. And for me, when I talk value, it's not always price. It's like offering, right? An example would be like jumbo nines of Collie. Like, regardless what the FOB is, and keep in mind, we got to put $10 freight on ours plus a 40% exchange rate. Like, when the market is tight, the reality is we should be $12.99 on a piece of fruit, where we don't get there, right? At the same time, we don't move to a 12 because we want to offer a 9 all year round. Mm-hmm. So we'll invest, but value piece is that our guest has that same piece of fruit every single day, and that's also big on value, right? Because price is one thing, but I mean, it's not always value.
Well, but it goes back to what I said earlier. You're living in a world of high expectations, right? You have cultural expectations, and therefore that bar's already been raised. So I can see where, that line in the sand moment of like, this is what's expected of us. You got to adhere to it. And I think that honors back to the originality of the whole thing of like, we're going to serve others, but we want to, serve our own family. I think it's all a part of that. I want to switch gears a little bit because we talked on this earlier before we got rolling today. And, down here in the United States, amongst all the problems that we have, the economy apparently is one of them. I don't know if you heard or not, but, globally, obviously the economy is a problem. I know there's stuff, Canada's not excluded from any of this right now because we all kind of live in a global economic world. But talk to me, what are you seeing today, based upon what the economy is doing? What are you seeing today in Canada? Has it changed your strategies any? And I want to get a little deeper into that as well, past that.
Yeah. So, like no different than south of the border, like record inflation levels and we're in a good space because we're offering food and
right.
And that it's very tough for that to die. But I mean, there's still consumers are coming into our stores and they have to make a decision, right? Am I buying fresh produce or am I buying frozen produce or am I buying processed foods, etc.? So our challenge is dealing with that mix and mortgage rates are increasing. Everything is increasing. So the guest has less to spend, and we have to add value where we want them to keep their spend within our box. And and for us, like, getting into the weeds, like really, if we can create meal solutions for our guests, we can probably keep their spend in our box because it adds a lot of value.
Sure.
It's tough out there. Again, and for us, regardless of what the FOBs are, like I said, we got to put on freight, we got to put on exchange. It's really tough to get someone to spend $4 or $5 on a head of lettuce, or whatever the case may be, $7-8 on a head of cauliflower, right? So
Yeah.
we need to be very strategic on how we go to market, and again, it's not always price. It could we put out magazines, and our latest magazine, we have like this feature, $100 for the week, make X amount of dishes, and adding that value to our guests is how do we make them feel comfortable to say, you know what, okay, you have $100 this week, we can get you through the week and all your meals, and what that looks like, right? Support them that way, because it's no secret that their pockets aren't as deep as they were, and everyone be careful.
Well, and it's 100%. And look, it's real. It's you're feeling it. And you brought this up earlier, and I didn't jump on. I'm going to now. People need to realize, when you think about it, and people in the sense, like, yes, you got $10 a box to get it from, let's say, California, where it's being grown, to Toronto, but then you're tacking on, to your point, another 40% in exchange, right? So it gets really expensive really quick. I mean, you literally may buy an $8 box of product and tack on, another $12 on top of it before it even gets to you.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it's a big deal. And so when you think about, and I'm glad we're talking about it, because I think people need to recognize the effects of what a global economy really means and how that trickles down in so many ways. And it's just not what's happening in Canada. It's happening in other countries as well that are servicing others. I mean, it's definitely a change. One of the things that we were talking about earlier that I'd like to touch on is that, labor is a big issue, continues to be a big issue down here. We got into a conversation about working from home, not working from home. And we started talking about talk a little bit about the labor situation at retail for yourself, maybe some of your turnover, what's happening, how you've weathered that over the last, 2 years, or whatever thoughts you may have.
Yeah. So like going back like to the pandemic days, we were offering hero pay, premium to anyone that was working in the stores. And our store teams did an incredible job over there. Those really the peak, call it year and a half or 2 years. They were there every single day and dealing with all that, right? So that the hero pay helped. But I mean, it's still tough. People, whether they're in a better place not working, or I'm not sure. I in this economy, people, we got to work, right?
I'm with you, dude. I don't understand some of it, and maybe it's just they're making more money not working.
Yeah, possibly. But I mean, for us, like, our turnover rate is normally it's like super, super low. Right. And it's increased over the last years, but nowhere near where the industry is. Like, I've heard some pretty high numbers.
Yeah.
But I mean, ours isn't that bad. But I mean, you know what? Again, it goes back to treating your team like family, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But it's tough out there. It's tough to get help. And then, if there's people coming into the industry that don't know anything about the industry, it's like you also need a team to help train them and bring them through the journey, right? So, we're grateful that we have team members that have been around for a long time. Mm-hmm. And in many cases, we're either cross training, so they're learning other departments. But I mean, again, it's difficult, but we're getting by. And in our industry, we spoke a little bit about work from home. My team's in the office minimum 3 days, some are 5 days, anywhere between, let's call it 3 or 4 as an average. But I mean, we need to be here. We're stronger together. Yeah. In the produce world, like, you share, everyone's got their own categories. So you're sharing vendors, you're sharing trucks, you're dealing with the stores. So for us, it's either you're in the office with the greater team, or you're in the stores working and getting feedback from the store teams to better our business, right? And move forward. I mean, I think in our industry, we got to be present. And I use that term with my team all the time. We need to be present because we're better if we're here, and we're better if we're working together.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think this whole work from home thing is going to come to a head, or it's going to come certain companies, not everybody. I mean, like, like if you're a coder or something like we talked about, you in front of a computer, it is what it is. But I think, that office environment, as much as everybody loves being at home in sweatpants and, whatever, the reality of it is, I think companies, especially for what you do, you need to be together. You need to figure it out. It's a tough role to be independent, especially in a fast moving company that's dealing with such highly perishable food.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not widgets. It's not like you're putting, it's not like you're doing something today that you're going to sell 6 months from now. You're doing something today that needs to be gone in 6 days. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And even with our team being here, like they'll do, so our DC is attached to our support center. So,
Right.
they're looking at their arrivals 3-4 times a day. They'll go down in the coolers and check stuff out. It's like you said, we got to turn this product over. So if we don't understand what our inventory looks like, how fast we have to sell it, where we have to be on price, you're behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. One of the things that you guys do that I think is really, really cool, and I love this conversation when I hear retailers embracing stuff like this, because growers, it's easy for a grower to embrace sustainability, right? They're growing food, right? It's like it kind of goes with the job title, right, as a part of it. But it's really become part of the core values that you all believe in there. And you've got 3 pillars. You talk about environmental stewardship, responsible sourcing, and then health. Can't say it, man. I'm stumbling. Healthy, happy people. That's hard to do that. Hey, you know what? Don't judge me. Say that 3 times fast. You can't do it. It's hard. Healthy, happy people. There we go. So talk to me a little bit about, what these are all about, and, why do they matter? What's your team feel about them? How that kind of drives what you all do? Because it's a powerful statement to stand behind.
Yeah. So again, back to the original statement of treating you like family, right? Or doing the right when no one's looking. Healthy, happy people. It's our team, our guests, and our vendors. If we're keeping everybody happy, we're just going to move forward in a better spot, right? We're going to build these relationships, and it's for us, it's like non-negotiable. It's like that's our goal. We want to create that. On the environmental piece, it's like we need to make sure that we continue to drive sustainability, whether it's packaging, whether it's growing regions, whether it's labor issues. We launched we're the first retailer in North America to exclusively launch a fair trade banana program with our partners out of Montreal, Equifruit.
Equifruit, yeah.
And you know what? It's great. We giving back every year. We give back 100 some odd thousand, and it's going to a great cause. And these are things that we do it across the store, whether it's our private label fair trade coffee or chocolate lines or whatever the case may be. That's always top of mind.
Yeah.
On the storefront, we create we're trying to create this net zero store where we have one of our stores is roughly at 90% now. And as we build stores, we're going to continue to, we change refrigeration. We do a ton of stuff like that. Our support center is LEED certified. So, there's heavy thought into anything we do across the supply chain, right? Across the ecosystem,
right.
From our guests, from our buildings.
Sure. No, I think it's great. I love to see that. And I think it's important to put out in front, but I'm going to come back around on the fair trade stuff as well, because you guys have kind of led a charge. You're definitely very supportive of it. Obviously the stuff that Equifruit's doing, how do you not love somebody opening lines? I'm a banana badass, right? So you got to love that. But, it's you guys are working to increase the conversation on fair trade, which I respect and I appreciate. And I think it's important that people understand the value of food and what that means, whether they support it or they don't support it as an individual consumer. I'm glad that the conversation's in front of them for them to have, to make a choice. I always say, I don't want to tell you what to think, but I do want you to think. And I think this is one of those categories that we need to be thinking about. So with that being said, how has embracing, supporting fair trade changed your personal view of agriculture now that you're looking at it from, really more of a global perspective in a lot of ways, because you are touching communities that you can never see, but you have a part of.
Yeah. You know what, it actually, so the journey around fair trade, when the girls came to see me 7-8 years ago, it was like, you know what, I understood the concept of fair trade, but I didn't really have the details, and the whole education side of it is like, it really opened my eyes to, yeah, there's a need for this. There's just a need in general to be like better. How do we make this world better, right? There's tons of crazy stuff out there, and the more we can do to make the world a better place. And you know what, if we can get more people doing that, it's just going to get better faster. So, like the banana and the fair trade piece is a small piece of the puzzle. But I mean, personally, it's really changed me personally, that I just, I have a greater outlook on just anything in general, life, right? Taking it and looking at it like very differently. But on the business side of it, on the produce side of it, or just overall business, it's like, how can we do our part to make this world a better place? How do we reduce plastic? How do we make sure that the packaging is sustainable? How do we work with our vendor partners to, yeah, we're not going to be plastic free in 5 years, but how do we get better?
Right.
Because I think it's impossible to be plastic free. But I mean, how do we get better? And then there's like, you don't want plastic, but you want food safety. Like it's not easy, but I mean, it's the little things. And if everybody's doing the little things, we're
big
better.
Things happen.
Yeah, we're better together. I use that phrase a lot. I mean, anything we can do and help. And on the banana front, I think it's important that more retailers look at that, because I think it's an important piece of our business.
100%. And and I love what you said, that it's a small part of the conversation, but these are things that when I think about how do you value food, the thing I talk about all the time, we have to start having these conversations in order for people to better understand what it takes to put food on everybody's tables, and what it's going to take for us globally to make sure that the planet survives in a way that allows the next generations and beyond, as long as the aliens don't come take over, or we get hit by a comet or some crazy crap happens, right? Which could, you never know. I'm leaning on the aliens a little stronger than I am the comet, but nonetheless. But how do we do that? And I appreciate the folks at Equifood and Wholesome and some of these other great brands that are out there really standing behind this, saying, hey, there is an alternative to this. We need to start having these conversations because your dollars matter downstream. Yes, it may not matter in this place in the United States, but you can't grow this here. And this is really important to understand where your money goes and how it works. And I just think it's just great that you guys stand behind it. I'm really impressed by what you shared about how it's changed you, how you've got a different outlook on things. And I feel that same way too, because I've been to places where fair trade dollars are working in communities south of the border, and what I've seen. And it's like, it's kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of cool to be able to give back and uplift. And now you're building communities, and it's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And you know what, we're even doing things locally where we're partnering up with some of our vendor partners. And you know what? It's 25 cents for each bag of cello carrot is gonna, feed or give X amount of meals to a shelter.
Yeah.
Things like that, right? Like, again, it goes back to, if we could contribute and do the little things, it'll mean a lot in the end.
Yeah. Look, like we said, you lead with love and kindness, a lot of positive things will happen. And one of the things that I think that we don't do enough of is lift each other up. Right. And lift up those in need. Right. I say this all the time, and I just saw this the other day. It's like that person that is homeless on the street corner is somebody's son or daughter, or is a mother and a father or a grandparent, whatever the case may be. We'll look at a car crash, but we won't make eye contact with somebody that's, needing a lift up and a hand up. And I think it's just so important that we remember to do that. And I think fair trade is about that. I think it's about helping that conversation. And again, that pushing the ball down the field to make a better world. That's a good idea, dude. I like that. I'm all on board. Sign me up. Whatever team. If we get team T-shirts and said we want to change the world to be, full of love and kindness, I'm the first one there. I'm in line, brother.
Nice.
We need it. Talk about a little bit about consumption. It's a topic that I like bringing it up and getting perspective on, because, I'm a big believer that the industry as a whole, needs to be working on getting everybody to eat an apple, right? Or whatever the commodity is, but we working on eating an apple. And then my job back in the day was to convince you to eat the organic one, right? But really it's about eating that apple. It's really about getting people to get more fruits and vegetables in their lives. We know the power of food. We know food is medicine. We know that's all to be real. Talk a little bit about ways you see consumption changing, or ways you're working to help drive consumption, whether through kids or whether just through messaging or whatever it is, and where your head's at on that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely a focus for us, like every day. At Longo's, we have a quarterly, we spoke about earlier, we have a quarterly magazine.
Yeah.
The magazine is all around food. It's, we're not trying to sell as many, ads. It's like, how do we create these experiences? And the magazine is actually called the Experience Magazine. So experiences through food. And it's, what are we giving our guests? What tools are we giving our guests to increase that consumption? Whether it be on the produce side, talking about, upcoming season and about the commodities, featuring 12 different apples and usages and why they're good and all that stuff, and creating excitement around commodities where there's trial, right? We want our guests to try. And it's not just the newest and shiniest thing we're trying to sell. We're trying to sell the entire department. We're trying to sell produce, as much produce as we can to everyone. But again, it's not transaction. It's how do we live healthier lives? How do we pass on, right? And I mean, we have great partners where they're partnering up with us, and we're, talking to our guests about varieties and usages and having different ideas. And I think creating that excitement around a certain item will create consumption. In Canada at the CPMA, there's a great program we have. It's called Half Your Plate. So it's like, fill half of your plate with fruits and vegetables, right? And if we think about that, it's like, it's, seasonally, it's not that hard, and it's not that expensive to eat fresh. You just have to do it smart. And how do we educate the consumer to do that, right? We don't want to be promoting an item that we're flying in that's 4 times the cost of what it is in season. But seasonally, how do we promote these commodities and create excitement around them and increase consumption? So I think that's the goal. I think the timing of how we communicate and how we market is very key.
I love that. That's a good takeaway. Those of you keeping score at home, I hope you wrote that one down, because that's a nugget of wisdom right there, right? I love that approach about driving that consumption based around seasonality, where you can touch the price points, where you can communicate effectively and back it up with the volume too, right? It doesn't do any good to, put something up there that you can't get, or something up there that's, to your point, $12.99 an ounce, right? That's a little bit aggressive, but to be able to throw things, hard squashes and brassicas, things like that you can do in the wintertime, things that make sense. I like that. That's really cool. Yeah, very cool. Dude, what's next for you guys? What's exciting? What's on the horizon for Longo's? What's the big deal? Well, I mean, obviously we can't talk about the Leafs any longer. That's off the table. Argonauts, whatever. We can kind of get into that, but it's just, I'm up to here with XFL and USFL, so I really don't want to talk about Canadian football next. And we can talk about the Blue Jays. That's a good one. The Blue Jays they might be legit.
Yeah, they are legit. Yeah. But on the Longo's front, we have a store opening up in a couple months. Excited about that. It's been on pause for about a year or so with all the delays, construction delays and all that stuff, but we're excited about that. And then, our goal is, a couple stores a year, going to continue to grow, but at a pace where we can manage it, where we don't lose focus. I think it's important not to lose focus. But I mean, we're trying to have as much fun as possible. I think, in our industry, if we're not having fun, we're not, it's very tough to move forward. So, all the conversations we had about family, about labor, about our team, about, the environment, it's continue to stay focused on all those things, and, just make the world a better place and eat fresh food and everything's going to be great.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's great. What a great place to wrap up our time hanging out together. I mean, I think you've dropped some really good nuggets of wisdom. I love the fact that you framed up, quite eloquently the business and why Longo's is important and why they have an obligation to their communities that they serve, right? And it comes from being family first, right? I imagine in a lot of ways they probably look at it like every store is like coming to their house and opening up their pantry and sharing with the neighbor, right? I think that's just super, super cool. But thanks for being here, dude. I appreciate you hanging out with me today and taking crap about the leaves.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Everybody, thanks for hanging out with us today. I appreciate you listening. Thanks for being here. Remember, like I always say, go inspire somebody today. It's incredibly important. You got, Mimmo inspired me a little bit, got me thinking. I love the global conversation that we had too about fair trade and whatnot. So take that source of inspiration maybe you got from this thing and pass it on to somebody. Tell them hello. Tell them, wish them a good day. You can do it. It's in your power, and you never know what somebody's path is. You can brighten up that day. Like I said, lead with love and kindness. It's not a shitty way to start your day. Thanks everybody for being here. Don't forget, check us out on social media, TLC Todd-versations. And we'll see y'all soon. Mimmo, my brother, take care. I'll see you soon, man.
Thank you. Thanks, Todd.
All right. See you, everybody.